afternoon, folks. We're going to start in just a couple of minutes. As a courtesy and a reminder, please turn your cell phones off or put them on vibrate. We'd appreciate that very much. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, to start the program, I would like to introduce the president of Atlantic Cape Community College, Dr. Peter Mora.
Thank you to all for inviting me. In particular, welcome to Ruth Fisch Kessler, our speaker today. We're honored to have you here. We really are. And we all know that. How about a hand for Ruth, please? I'd just like to acknowledge the work of the team that put this together under our new Vice President for Academic Affairs, Dr. Mitch Levy and his team. This is for those students here that are fairly new, the joint Holocaust remembrance events that we have here are coordinated with Richard Stockton College in New Jersey. They have a full-blown center over there for degree offerings and other activities there related to the Holocaust. But we do a switch over every year. We have something here, then they have a bigger one over there, then we switch back here. But it's been going on a long time. I talked to Janet Brenner, one of our retired employees and faculty member here, a long time, over 20 years, 25 years. So it's part of the culture of this college. It's special remembrance for all of us. I would just say a comment from me personally, and I'll be brief because we have a big agenda and our speaker. Because I was raised in Atlantic City, I'm very proud to be residents, call that my hometown, and I grew up there. And I grew up in the South Inlet. How many people know where the South Inlet of Atlantic City is? Okay, so you have a sense. There's a lighthouse is down there, you know? The lighthouse district there. And we're an Italian-American Catholic family. We were moved from New York to a Jewish neighborhood, primarily. The square blocks, 8 square blocks, very, very active. A couple of temples there, and Jewish Community Center was very large there. We had access to that as part of the community. And my brother and I, my sister, I'm talking about the mid-50s now, when I was fairly young, and my brother was younger. We knew that story of the Holocaust. We knew that from people that lived around us, literally survivors that were living in the neighborhood. So it was not a surprise to us as we grew up, and we went to Catholic school, went to Holy Spirit school, and discussed those issues right there because we kind of knew the people that were there. They were our neighbors. So it's not a new story for me personally. It's a story that has to be retold, and that's part of what we're doing here today, long after we're all gone. But I just had a unique experience. I was fortunate to have that direct experience. When people talk about that, and some people might say it's being overestimated, I know it's not being overestimated. It was a catastrophe. It was a disaster of the 20th century. But, so I can kind of attest to that a little bit as a kid growing up. It was a very, very meaningful experience. But anyway, that's enough about me. Congratulations to the planning group. Thank you very much, Ruth, for being here today. And I'll hand it back over to Nancy. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mora. I would like now to present the Vice President of Student Affairs, Dr. Mitchell Levy.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Ruth, you promised when we're going to have lunch after, you and Lou are going to explain to me the secret to being married 63 years, right? 62, I'm sorry. It's only 62. We're still waiting to see what happens. We're thrilled to have you. Thank you. Normally I have a pretty good memory, but there's so many people I need to thank that actually I produced a list. You don't put a successful program like this together without the cooperation of many, many people. First of all, internally, Dr. Mora, thank you for your support and help. We greatly appreciate it. Our new friend, well, my new friend, I haven't worked with before, an old friend who's new to me, from Stockton College, Dr. Gail Rosenthal. We're going to do many, many wonderful, wonderful things together. This is, I believe, the 31st year.
31.
31 years at
Going
Stockton.
Strong.
And Atlantic Cape have worked together around this programming, and we're going to do many, many more. So thank you for all your help. I have to, again, internally first, recognize the work of the committee who, in a very short period of time, put together this wonderful program. And what many people may not know is Beyond today's wonderful speaker, we have many other things going on. We're going to record today's program, so faculty, staff, teachers, people in the community will be able to watch today's program beyond. That will be embedded in the library website for all to see in the future. We will be donating what we bought, and we'll be donating 100 books to local high schools, libraries, and we distributed 30 books to our students here today, which Ruth said she'd be more than happy to sign for us. Right? I have to recognize the work of Nancy Porfido, Di Alicia, Di, thank you, and Lisa Givens, who basically in a month put together this whole week of activities. Incredible job, so thank you. Chef Dean Kelly McClay, the Culinary Club, okay, whom my understanding, I just found out from Lisa, I'm not sure if you know Ruth, but the chefs put together food out there in recognition of your background. And they researched your background to put together recipes that you might be familiar with. So that's how much we care about you. Doug Mills and SGA, thank you for your wonderful work in distributing flyers and helping us today. Again, I mentioned Dean Grant Walensky, the peer mentors, John Feldbauer for your help with technical assistance and recording, Dave Capelli, again, thank you, and the academic deans, Ron MacArthur, Otto Hernandez. We have a number of students here from classes who were asked to attend or invited to attend as an assignment to write about via reflection papers the wonderful story we're going to hear today, and Vice President of Academic Affairs, Art Wexler. So student affairs, academic affairs, our friends at Stockton, our friends in the community, everyone working together, putting together a wonderful program, and what I'm sure is going to be something very memorable today. So again, round of applause for everybody who worked together. Well, I'm not going to take up any more time because let's get to why we're here. I'm going to ask Nancy if she'll please come up and give an appropriate formal introduction to our honored guest.
Okay, folks, 2 general reminders. When Ruth is done, she's going to come off the stage and sit at the front table, and if anybody wants their book signed, she would be happy to do that, so we're excited about that. When Ruth is done with her actual presentation, there will be a question and answer period, and we have some folks that will walk around with a microphone. And this is from Ruth, and thank you very much. Ruth said there is no question off topic. So if there is something on your mind and you would like to know, please ask her, and she'll be happy to provide an answer for you. So thank you for that, Ruth. Ruth Fisch Kessler was born in safety in Vienna, Austria in 1933 to a happy, loving family, which included her older sister, Erica. The family was devastated by 2 events, Auschwitz and Kristallnacht, both in 1938. On May 12, 1939, Ruth was asked by her parents to take a long and frightening journey to England. Ruth was one of 10,000 Kindertransport children taken from their homes in Germany, Austria, Czechoslovakia, and transported to Great Britain. This is the first-hand account of Ruth's journey, an outstanding story about resilience in the face of unspeakable human tragedy. Ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Ruth Fisch Kessler. Welcome her, please. Thank you.
Everybody. The following the infamous Kristallnacht night of the broken glass on November the 9th, 1938, the British government decided to allow up to 10,000 children, unaccompanied Jewish children from Germany, Austria, and Czechoslovakia into Great Britain. Operation Kindertransport saved the lives of these children who would otherwise have suffered the horrors of the concentration camps and subsequent extermination. I'm a Kindertransport survivor. I was born in Vienna, Austria in 1933. Now you know how old I am. My father was a family man and owned a haberdashery shop. He was a religious man and never missed his daily prayers. My mother was a homemaker, a warm, loving woman. My parents were partners. My mother idolized my father. Our best times were at family meals and holidays. Our apartment was on a long street in a beautiful building with marble steps, overlooking a park with an ice skating rink. I could see the Austrian Alps in the distance from my bedroom window. I had a sister, Erica, 4 years older than I, and we shared a bedroom, and I looked up to her. Erica was studious, and I was free-spirited. She wanted to read and study, and I just wanted to dance around. I also wanted to be independent. One day, at 3 years old, I walked 2 miles to my grandparents' home without telling anyone. Everyone was worried and angry with me. I was chosen to be part of a Kindertransport. Just bear with me. I was 5 years old when my parents came to me and told me they were sending me away. I did not know why. Standing on the platform, I kept repeating over and over, "Are you coming soon?" "We'll see you soon," they said in return to me with tears flowing, and was the last time I saw my mother and sister. I took a dark train ride across Europe and then a ship to Liverpool. Liverpool, England. I do not remember anyone looking after me, and I didn't make any friends. A Jewish organization called the Hayas delivered me to a London family, the Webbers, who took me home with them. They lived in the heart of London. The Webbers had 2 daughters, both older than me. I arrived in London in May of 1939. I only spoke German, but I learned English in 2 weeks. I loved the Webbers, who treated me as their own. Mr. Webber owned a pub in Piccadilly Circus, frequented by lots of servicemen who gave him candy and gum to bring home to his children. The war started in London, England in September with lots of bombing. It was frightening. There were blackouts on the streets. We walked everywhere all the time carrying gas masks. We hid under the dining room table at home and under our desks at school when the air raids sounded. One day I played with a friend. The next day, her home was destroyed by a bomb and she was killed. When the bombing became too severe, I was sent to the countryside along with thousands of other children for safety. I was moved to a hostel in Windermere, where I lived with 15 other girls. We slept in 2 rooms. I was safe there for a year and a half, and when the bombing subsided, I was sent back to the Webbers, who meanwhile moved to a seaside community. We lived a normal life between the bombings. In 1938, my uncle, who emigrated to America, tried to get visas for my family, but failed. When he came here, he joined the American Army. During his Army days, he was sent to Europe and went to numerous camps to try and find out about my mother and sister. My father, who came to America in 1940, also tried, but was continually frustrated by the bureaucracy and failed to get my mother and sister out of Germany in time. It became too late for them. I learned that my mother and sister were deported to Poland and never heard from again after 1942. My grandparents were sent to Theresienstadt concentration camp and eventually died in Auschwitz. Most of my extended family was murdered in Auschwitz. I also learned that I was like Sophie's choice. My mother had to make a decision as to which daughter to put on a Kindertransport train, and she chose me because it would be easier to place an older child. I found out later that my sister made my mother's choice easier by refusing to leave her side in Vienna. In 1945, at the war's end, I was 12 years old, and my father told the Webbers that he finally can get me to America. I didn't want to go. My father was a stranger to me, and the Webbers were my mother and father. But I did what I was told. I was placed on a Swedish ship called SS Drottningholm and slept in a cabin with 3 other girls. I was seasick for 7 days out of the 10. I tried to open the porthole window, but we were in steerage below the waterline. I have never been more miserable than I was then. When we arrived in New York, my uncle, aunt, and father met me and took me for ice cream sundae. I discovered I didn't like ice cream. The irony and tragedy of my life then was when I arrived in America in 1946. My father, who was living in Boston, was limited financially and couldn't care for me. So began a four-year placement in different foster homes, some indifferent, some loving, some not. In 1950, my pregnant aunt living in Philadelphia asked me to come for the summer and help her with the baby. I jumped at the chance to live with family, and we had a great relationship. At the end of the summer, my aunt made the point that I should not go back to Boston because I was supposed to go to another family, foster family, but continue to live with her and finish my last year of high school in Philadelphia, and I did. I was in the first graduating class of the new Lincoln High School. In 1951, on a blind date, I met my future husband, who has been the light of my life, my rock stabilizing and grounding me so that I have been able to put all the trauma of emotional abuse behind me. Today, I have a few photos of that era and a beautiful blue crystal vase that belonged to my mother. Every time I place flowers in that vase, I lovingly memorialize her life and my memory of her. I have 3 children and 4 grandchildren. I promised them and myself that I would do everything in my power to love and protect them so they never have the fear of living the life I led from 1933 to 1950. My story is an example of where the darkest side of humanity can travel. Please don't let my Holocaust experience happen to anyone again. Don't allow the goodness in all of us to be overcome by the evil of a few. That is why I speak out today. Thank you. When I lived in Philadelphia and I worked for the Department of Defense, we had Holocaust Week, and they asked me to write something. And I'm not a good writer, or anything, but my girlfriend, my dearest girlfriend, wrote this poem. I came alone. A scene at the train station I vividly recalled, waving goodbye to one and all. I looked at my family only to see my mother hiding her tears from me. Would I see them soon? No reply, just a hope for a child of 5. As I boarded the train, I wished and prayed we would all be together in a few short days. Alone on a train, no one knowing my name, surrounded by children, all feeling the same. All Jewish by birth, thus the decree to allow us into Great Britain, where we might become free. Arriving in London, I was quickly approached by a family of 4 who would be my coach. They wanted to show me the ins and the outs of gas masks and hiding when bombs were about. For 7 years, they housed me, gave me clothing and schooling. The bombing continued, with blackouts and such. For a little girl, I was seeing too much. Letters from home were not really great. I found out through the mail of my dear family's fate. My father was able to get to the States, hoping we'd join him without a long wait. My mother and sister were not as lucky as he. They were sent to a concentration camp, never to be free. Their letters stopped coming, and before very long, I knew in my heart most of my family was gone. The bombings in London continued each day, so the family I lived with sent me away. A hostel in northern England now was my home, living with girls who were also alone. For a year and a half, we shared life's ups and downs, but at least we were far from those terrible war sounds. When I was 12, I remember the day my father summoned me to the USA. I traveled by ship, seasick as could be, to meet my father, a stranger to me. He tried so hard to make me see he really had done the best for me. I loved him dearly, but it was clear to see he could not afford to really raise me. My next steps were foster homes, one after the other. I secretly longed for my sister and mother. I cried every night and prayed to be wanted and cared for eternity. Life, however, has its decree, and happiness was just not to be. At 17, I look back on my life. 15 schools and 8 homes had been my plight. How would it end? I wondered each day, would I ever be settled in one place to stay? Then came a phone call from an uncle and aunt. Would I come to Philadelphia and give them a hand? Just spend the summer with us, they said. We'll clothe and feed you and give you a bed. I jumped at the chance to finally be part of what was my family. It worked out so well from the very first day. Without much coaxing, I decided to stay. The rest of my life, I'm happy to say, improved with each and every day. Before long, very long, I met my Lou, who was tender, caring, and loving too. My life turned around since our wedding day, and 3 beautiful children came our way. I'll always think back to a past so blue, but no, I was lucky in many ways too. The end of my story. Deep down inside, I always surmised my mother and sister had not survived, yet not really knowing if perhaps their fate was managing to escape through those awful gates. It took a trip to Israel and Yad Vashem for me to have proof of what happened to them. In the museum, I held back tears while entering in the computer their names and birth years. Lo and behold, for the very first time, their names appeared line after line. At the end of the printout, there appeared the word perished, thus confirming my fear. So now I have closure, no more doubt of what their short lives were all about. I continue to live with my wonderful Lou, and thank God every day for the things we do. My past is behind me, still I stop and stay. Yad Vashem showed me their fate that day. That's it.
Folks, at this time, we would entertain any question that you would like to ask. The young ladies with the red tops on have microphones. Please raise your hand and we'll go to you. Right over here.
Hello. I was looking at your book, and the Webbers gave you a ring. Do you guys still have that ring?
Yes, I do. It's in my night table drawer. And if you see it in the book, it says RWF. They put their name, Ruth Weber Fisch.
Did you have any contact with them after you came to America?
I did, but they both died.
Sorry to hear.
Anybody else?
Yep. Second row.
What did your family do when they were in Austria? Like your mom and your dad, what was their occupation?
Well, my mother didn't work. She was strictly a mother to two little girls. And my father had a store, a haberdashery store, which is like clothing, you know, and all that. And it wasn't that far because he walked to work.
Thank you.
What happened to your aunt and your cousin? Did you ever stay in touch with them?
My who?
Your aunt?
My aunt and uncle?
Yeah.
Oh, we were very close. They moved to Florida, and I would see them, you know, once in a while. And they both, one died 2 years ago and the other died about 4 years ago. But their children, I'm still in contact with.
Hi. Wasn't really a question. I just wanted to say thank you because there was a time in my life, my childhood was so magical, and then one day it was taken away. And like you said, you felt like happiness wasn't for you, and that all changed. So I want to say thank you because now I believe I could change and my future can be better.
I'm so happy to hear that.
Can you explain how you can have such a wonderful, positive attitude towards people, everybody, no matter what, considering your background and what happened to your family?
I can't really answer that. I guess it's just my nature, and because of you, I can't help it. I say that to people because you have made my life very comforting and very easy, and I love people, and I like to meet them, and you know, I cannot see anybody being nasty or anything like that. Even though what I went through, I still like people. That's the question.
You have a question straight back to the right.
I have a question over here. You said in the book the young man talked about the Webbers, and you said that they died. What about their two daughters that you lived with for a few years? Are you still in contact with them?
Okay, I will tell you the truth. The oldest daughter came to America, moved to Las Vegas. We lost touch. The younger daughter, when I took a trip to England, she had married and didn't want to have anything to do with Jewish people. And she was raised very Jewish. And this is what happened. So I don't know what has happened to her, if she's still living. And that's it.
Oh, that's so sad there, really. Thank you very much.
Can you describe your expedition again? I mean, so you ended up in London and then came to America, to New York, and then you said you ended up in Boston, then Philly. Is Boston where you basically went to college? I mean,
No. Boston is where I went to school until the 11th grade. And then I came to Philadelphia, and I finished my senior year in Philadelphia. I didn't want to go to college, and I just wanted to, my dream at that point was to come to New York and become a model. That's what I wanted. So.
My name is Kamal Johnson. It's so happy to meet you. During the Kindertransport, how did that impact? How did it impact you? And did it have it impact you on so many levels? While you at that? While the, you know what I mean?
Well,
Sorry.
That's all right. I can tell you that when I was on the Kindertransport, I didn't know anybody. I didn't know where we were going. I didn't know what we were going to do. And when we arrived in England, you arrived in a big hall, and there were a lot of children there. And the Webbers came, and they picked me up. But before that, I don't know. I don't remember so much being on the train or the ship. That I don't remember. It was like like you wanted to erase something. But then I was in England for 7 years.
One more thing. I just started. We met you. You had touched so many hearts just now, and I thank God that you have inspired us to believe in ourselves. And throughout your time at the Kindertransport, you have gone through a lot, and I'm so happy that you are here right now to tell us about your story, because without that, you in other words, you are a beautiful woman, and you have show us that, well, life itself, you can cheat everything for everyone for yourself, including everyone in ACC. So I thank you.
You just made me cry. You really did.
Hi, how are you? I was just wondering, did your father struggle? Did your father keep struggling, or did he get any better? Or?
Yeah, he got a little better after he moved from Boston to South Orange, New Jersey. He had a pretty good job there, and he would, we would see each other quite often. He was a very, very religious man, and he became a rabbi. And when he came to my house, he wanted my boys to study. And so when I said, "Grandpa's coming," and they weren't very happy. So he would only stay like a day or two, and then he had to go back to South Orange.
Hi. How did your children react when you told them your life story?
Okay, that's a very good question, because I never wanted to talk about it. Never. And one day there was a show on TV about the Holocaust, the first one I think that they did. And my daughter, who was about 10 years old, was sitting on my bed and we were watching it. And I saw how quiet she went. And then I said to her afterwards, honey, oh no, she started to cry. I said, honey, don't cry. I want you to know how lucky you are that you have loving parents and you've got a home. You've got a wonderful home with good family and people that love you. And then that was for her. And you want to know something? My sons, I don't know if I ever told them, maybe bits and pieces along the way, because I never wanted to talk about it. I really didn't until later on in life.
Hello. I wanted to know, did you ever feel guilty that you made it out and not your other family?
That's another good question. I think that's why I never wanted to talk about it, because I felt my life wasn't, I didn't feel that my life was that bad when other people went through horrors. And I still, to this day, my sister was brilliant. She was smart. And I didn't like to study, and I used to say, why was it that my sister had to die and not me? This is what I used to say to myself. But, now things are pretty good.
Mrs. Kessler, when I think of all the speeches and monstrous noise and violence and evil of 70 plus years ago in Europe, and then I hear your soft-spoken and beautiful voice, I realize that your voice and your story has far more lasting power than all of that happened 70 years ago. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
Hello again. I just wanted to add on to what the gentleman's question was behind me was. I just feel like what you were saying, you shouldn't feel guilty because God did give you another chance at life, and to fulfill it as they would, very happily, and as you're doing now, enlightening our lives of what you went through and what, you may be down in the dumps at some time, but it can always get better. And, fulfill your life, and that you have your family with you to push you through those hard times that, hey, sometimes we think that tough times we have, but never compared to what you and the other people went through. So just always keep pushing. And I thank you so much for coming and shining the light on us. And thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hi, I was just wondering how you and your husband met.
A blind date. And I didn't like him. But I'll tell you a story of what he did. He wanted my phone number, all right? He took out a piece of paper. He said, write your phone number on the top of the page and on the bottom. I said, why do you want me to do that? He ripped the paper in half, put one in his shirt pocket, put the other in his pants, and said, in case I lose one, I'll have the other.
Hi. My question to
to you is, what is your best advice to give us students and professionals to make sure something like this doesn't ever happen to a group of people again?
Well, it's best is to read about this and realize just go to school, learn, be good to your parents, be good to your friends, and if people do that, things will not go wrong. That it'll continue pretty good. That's all I can tell you. It's up to you as an individual. But if you're learning about the Holocaust, and you hear about genocide, you hear about all these horrible things, the best thing is read up on it and just be a good person. Okay?
People always say to you, how do you not be hurt about what happened, or how do you have so much love for people? I think maybe on an unconscious level, the Holocaust was because of hate. Maybe on an unconscious level, you choose not to hate because you saw what it did, how it tore people's lives apart. Do you think maybe that's why you have a general love for people?
It's possible, very possible. I don't have any hatred. There was hatred when I was younger for, Hitler, and when you hear all these things. But what for? When you have good things happening to you right now, just be happy and extend it to everybody else.
As a grandson for both of my grandparents survived the Holocaust and came to Israel, I just wanted to say thank you for sharing the story, and remember, never forget. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Where did you find the strength to tell your story? What made you decide, instead of being quiet, to finally talk about it?
Because people asked me to, and they kept asking. And like I told you before, I didn't want to talk about it. And finally, he said, you've got to. You've got to let people know, because the generation is dying out, of the people who were on the Holocaust. And then I started to speak, and I've spoken in Philadelphia at a few schools, and it helps. It helps by speaking, and especially people asking questions. That to me means a lot.
Sorry, please. I forgot my question. Have you ever been back to Austria after the end of the war?
We went back in 1999, and I said to my husband, I know the street when I'll see it. And we crossed the Danube, and we looked for, it was called Rembrandtstrasse. Strasse means street. And I said, it's here. And my apartment was all the way at the end, all the way at the end. And I walked in, we walked down, and you couldn't get in, but somebody lived there and got in. And I walked upstairs, we were on the 4th floor, and I knocked on the door. And I heard babies crying, and I heard a dog barking, and a lady came to the door, and I said, I lived here when I was young. Is it possible to come in and see? She looked at me and she said, no. So I was so upset. I ended up crying in my husband's arms because I really had wanted to see it. And that was it. But the building was the same as when I lived there. The steps, when you walked in, everything was the same.
I have two little questions, so I'll try to make them brief. Is there an association of the Kindertransport survivors? Like, are there others that you know of, or have you ever met in any kind of way?
In Philadelphia, there was a group that got together, and I went to one or two meetings, and most of them had passed away. I happen to have been, believe it or not, one of the youngest, if not the youngest, because a lot of them were 12, 13, 14, and they would go to London and they went to families so they could be a maid. Not, you know, this is what happened to a lot of them. But I was lucky. I was very lucky, gotten with a family who really cared about me.
And then you said that you worked for the Department of Defense?
Mm-hmm. In Philadelphia.
Just a little, was that due to your experiences, or was that something completely different?
No, I took a test. I took a test for the government, and this is where I landed in Philadelphia, and it had nothing to do with my background at all.
I want to thank you. It's amazing. I appreciate it.
You mentioned the title is the Blue Vase and that it was your mom's. How did you come to possess it?
My father had bought a lot of stuff out when he came over to New York, and it was in boxes. And when he moved to Boston, he put it in storage. And finally, when we had a house, he took all the boxes and put them into my garage. And I could kick myself now for what I did. There were linens in there that were beautiful, and they were stained. I threw them out. I was so stupid, I didn't think. And there was my sister's shoes and a lot of other stuff. But the vase was in there, and it's in my wall unit at home. And it's true, when I put flowers in it, it brings back a lot of memories.
When the English government, like, when they did the Kinderspirit transport, did they do it, like, to a whole other bunch of countries, too? Like Poland and, like, all the other little, like, countries?
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so.
No, Ruth, the answer is no.
Yeah, I said no. I said no.
Hi, my name is Tara, and I just want to say thank you for sharing your story. You are a living proof that no matter how dark one section of their life can be, if you continue to have hope, good things and a better life will come to you. And I appreciate you sharing your story with all of us, and I hope that sharing it helps you feel better and to help bring closure to that horrible part of your life. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you so much.
Hi. I just wanted to ask, because you had mentioned that your father was a deeply religious man. After everything that has happened to you in your life, can you say that, like, now at this point in your life, that you still believe in God, and with everything that's happened, that you're still faithful?
That's a wonderful question, and I do. My father, I used to say to him, you lost your wife, you lost your child. How can you believe in God? He says, I believe in him even stronger now. And I couldn't understand that. I mean, he lost his parents, he lost family, and his own child and wife. And he never remarried. And he he always believed in God, and I still do. I believe very, very much in God.
Hi.
Yep.
Hi. Based on your story up there, was it hard for you, like, growing up as a child? Did you ever get to the time where you felt like you just wanted to give up and just say, you're not with your whole life living no more?
No. I had days when I was very unhappy. And I am a person that, wherever I am, I go that way. I mean, I don't argue with saying I don't want to do it. I did whatever I was told. And growing up, when I lived with one family, that was the one I cried every night. But like the young lady said, things happen, things pass, and I'm very happy now. And I got happy when I was in the teens, late teens.
I listened to you today, and I listened to everything that everyone has said, and it's really good to hear that you still believe in God, because I believe He had a hand in your being here today. He chose you instead of your sister because I think he believes that you would be so much more effective even than she might have been in sharing this story, letting the world know of what took place. And I really believe that you've been effective enough. You've touched each of our hearts. The person that you are today, what I hear oozing from you, what I hear coming from you, I don't know if your sister could have done that. I don't know. You don't know. But I think that God chose the right person to do the job. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was very... Okay.
Folks, we're going to just take 1 second to have Ruth come down to the front, but before we do, we just have a little something that we would like to give Ruth from the college, from the Student Government Association. So if they could come up and present Ruth with just a little token of our great thanks for everything.
Student Government President, and on behalf of the student body and student government, we would like to present Mrs. Kessler here today for thanking her for coming here and sharing her life experience with us. So thank you so much. You've honestly touched plenty of hearts here today. Thank you.
One more picture. Your camera.
All right.